Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. It's Dr. Jan Fortman with Relationship Matters TV. Hope everyone is having a beautiful morning, afternoon, or evening. We're here in Chicago and we had a couple of days of snow, but it wasn't really a lot of snow. It was that big white fluffy flakes that look so beautiful coming down until you have to drive in it, and then it's salt, and then it's slushy, and then it gets dirty, and then you start thinking, you know what, I'll be glad when the snow melts. But anyway, uh, well, today, guess who I have on this show, on this episode? I have Harold Dennis. Let me tell you who Harold Dennis is. And Harold Dennis is somebody, when I grow up, I want to be just like Harold Dennis. But let me tell you a little bit about him before I bring him on. Harold Dennis is an actor, a producer, and a director. He lives here in Chicago. And guess what? In 2008, he earned the nickname the hardest working man in show business. He's worked in films and television since 2000. He's appeared in over 200 short and feature films, and he's just a dynamo. He's also a teacher. He teaches acting, and I think I want to take an acting class. I want to be on TV. Well, I'm on TV now. I want to be in the movies. But anyway, enough about me. Let me bring Harold on. Okay. Hi, Harold.
Hi.
How are you this evening?
You're making me feel excellent.
You are excellent, Harold.
Thank you. Thank you.
You are excellent. I think this is the first time that I have had a conversation on this show with a movie star and a director and a producer and someone who teaches acting and someone who in television and someone who has a podcast. You are still the hardest working man in show business. I've heard somebody else say that, but I think you are. So tell me something, Harold. Before you got into acting, what did you do?
I did a whole bunch of things. I
Okay.
sold cars, had a real estate license, did a lot of multi-level marketing uh, jobs. and
Okay.
and so what happened was I realized growing up too, I moved around, went to 3 or 4 different grammar schools, landed at one high school, and uh, went to Northern, joined a fraternity, just moved around. And then when I was old enough to be on my own, I found myself moving from job to job to job. And so finally, when I found acting back in '95 and I started '97, I found something that worked for me because I could go from gig to gig to gig because that's my past.
Okay. Wow. So when you say you found acting, how did you find acting?
Well, when I was younger, my father's baby sister, Marion Roll, she used to do a one-woman show off Broadway and over in Europe, Edinburgh, and all over the place. And I used to hear about that, but she was long distance, so it never settled in on me. But what happened was my high school band teacher, I played trumpet for 4 years at Hirsch High School. He Years later, he ended up in The Fugitive. He had lines with Harrison Ford, and he lives here in Chicago. He doesn't live
Oh,
on the coast. I was like, how did he do that? Then he ended up in Soul Food, the movie. He was Uncle Pete that came out with the TV and the money at the end. John Watson Sr., the late John Watson Sr. Groundhog Day, Hoodlum, a bunch of movies. And when I saw him, I was like, I want to do that. I can
oh,
do that. If he can do it, I could do it. Whatever it was, I figured that that's what I wanted to do. And
oh, okay.
and so And I'm driving. I'm working at one of my ship's furniture store, Fraternity Brothers furniture store on 66th and Halsted, and this ad kept playing on the radio. Be an extra in the movies. This was in early '97. Be an extra in the movies. Finally, I wrote the number down and called, and I ended up featured in this show called Early Edition that came on CBS uh, '97, and
I remember that show.
I did that a few times. They featured me, and I was like, I want speaking lines. And so one of my buddies, one of my noobs, Kenny,
Did you freeze? Oh my God, you froze. You froze. If you can hear me, you froze. OMG. Could you hear me?
okay, I'm back. Yep, yep.
Yeah, okay, yeah, you froze. Okay, go ahead. So you would send one of your buddies.
And he says, why don't you take an acting class? This was '97.
Okay.
And I was like, yeah, that's a great idea. Where? And so he pointed out ETA over here on 75th and South Chicago on the South Side. And I was like, I know that place. I lived over there. And so that week, classes had just started that Tuesday, and this was maybe Saturday or something. And so the next class, I was in the class sitting in. And after that first class with the late Okoro Johnson, one of my mentors, he was a founder at ETA. I
Okay.
says, I'm going to do this the rest of my life. So I was all nervous and stuff. Yeah. And so it was September '97 when I found my home.
Wow, you found your passion.
Yes.
That is wonderful. That is wonderful. You know, we all, when it hits us, it's like, this is it. This is what I want to do.
Yes.
Okay, so now, so that's where you started. And so how did you become, does it take a lot of training to become an actor, especially one as good as you?
Well,
You know, does it take a lot of training?
there's some children actors that are incredible. And I don't know how much training they could have gotten when they stepped in front of the camera. It's like they're just natural, you know. For me, I've spent the last, I've been in classes well over 20 years studying with different people, just so that I felt like, I'll be ready, when something breaks. And yeah, I mean, it's at this point, I'm very comfortable and confident. And yeah, and I'll just read a script now. And from all of the different things that I've studied, with the different teachers, the script talks to me, or so you get the idea of this is how to play it, and then you say, okay, what are alternatives, and what else? What else can I do? What else can happen? What else can I feel? So a lot of things run through my mind when I sit there and read the script the first time slowly. Yeah.
Okay, okay. So do you call that method acting, or is that just something I heard?
You know, I'm not sure. It's like I said, I've studied a bunch of places. I studied with this guy, Ted. I did beginning and advanced acting over at ETA back in '97, '98. Uh,
Mm,
that whole school year, studying with the late Okoro. And that was some form of Stanislavski he was teaching. And I got with uh, Ted Sarantos, who I studied with for 18 years. Every Wednesday, I'm in class for 18 years working with him. And his whole thing was teaching on camera. The way I got in his class, I had went to sit in on his class back in late early '03, and he was videotaping the actors while they were standing there delivering their monologues. He'd say, chin down, nose to the camera, smile in the eye, energy out, action, and then they do their monologues. And he taught all types of things, opposites, play this and this at the same time. What's your intending dream scene? Okay, what do you want the person that you're talking to do physically? That if they do it, we'll all see it. Down glide statements 100% of the time. Inhale, hold it. Now, are you dying yet? Now, action. All types of
wow.
things for 18 years. So I just stayed with him because I was like, plus it was free. I asked him, "Can I help you clean up around here?" And at first he
Okay.
said no, and then so 10 months went by, and he called me to come to a showcase, and
Okay.
I went. And I says, I'm that same guy 10 months ago that says, I'll help you clean up around here, because it was an old building on the north side.
Mm-hmm.
And he said, yeah. And so that January 1st, 2004, I stayed with him all the way up till he retired in January 2020. Well,
Wow.
18 years. Yeah. 2022. Yeah.
So and so he was your teacher and a mentor also.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because it was, and the lesson was learned while I'm sitting there in class watching him work with other people from different backgrounds and different things going on in their head, watching him work with them. And also, while I was studying with Ted, I did the Meisner over at Green Church Studio. I did the level 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. And they needed someone else. And that was once a week for 15 months. And they needed someone in the Tuesday night class. So I ended up, I was in three classes for a year from 2011 to 2012. So, I took it while I'm doing everything else.
Okay.
Then I've been, and that Meisner was good to have.
So
And
what is that before you go? Now, what is the Meisner technique? So what is that?
the quickest way that I can explain it, there's a whole definition, but I say, okay, if you're on stage and you're doing a play, and there's a glass and there's a bucket of water, and you're supposed to drink, pour some water in the glass and drink, and let us see your Adam's apple move.
Really?
Yeah.
What does that do?
Well, it looks like
I
I'm
mean,
drinking. It looks like I'm actually drinking. Drink the water. Don't pretend like you're doing anything.
oh, you're not
Stop,
really
stop,
drinking the
stop
water.
faking. Keep, yeah,
Oh,
yeah. And
oh,
I've last year and a half or so, on and off, I've been studying with this guy John Swanbeck on Zoom. He's out in L.A. and he's like Ted Sarantos with all of that magical acting teaching. He specifically says, "I'm the lens of the camera, and this is your frame. Act." And so I actually read his book. I found him on social media. He was posting all of these quotes, and I was like, "These sound like Ted." And he just put up a nice quote just this afternoon, and I have to get it real quick because this will describe who he is. And
okay.
here it is, right here. It says, "Once you understand the situation, add a memory from somewhere in the character's life that has nothing to do with the situation, and sustain it the entire scene, and you'll be cinematic." So those types of, it's philosophy more
Oh
than
wow.
let me say these words. It's a psychology, acting. It's psychology, philosophy, all of those things, other than saying words and getting angry and crying. It's other stuff going on in our heads.
And and thank you for saying that because most of us think is memorizing lines. You know what I'm saying? And but when you're talking about the philosophy and we and that's what makes a great actor. You know, that's why you're great. That's why I got you on this show because you're great.
Years ago, I asked myself, my buddy Kenny, he asked me, "HD, what is it that you want to do? Do you want to do plays? You want to do TV? You want to do what do you want?" I says, "I want to be in people's movies," and that was probably 1998 or 99, because we
Okay.
started an acting troupe back then. Myself and about 25 other actors, and we'd meet from February 28th, February to 1998 to February 1999. We met every Saturday morning while I was taking those two classes, and we were working in the basement, just working on our abilities. He asked me, "What is it?" And I says, "I want to be in people's movies." And then later, I changed that. I want to make my audience feel something. And so I asked myself, how do I do that? So my buddy Tracy, that was in the acting troupe, he put this book in my hand called, and I wasn't talking to him about it, but he says, here, read this. So I wanted to do the Sid
Okay.
Fields video and write my own movie. And the tape was almost eaten by that tape recorder back then. He says, "Nah, just read this big book." I was like, I don't want to read that big book. It was called Story by Robert McKee. And so it's about screen how to write a Hollywood archetypical screenplay, all of the genres, structure, and goes deep. It's not a how-to book, but it's the philosophy. And so I took a month, read that book slowly, and over that was back in 2002. And I was like, oh, this is what screenwriters are supposed to put into their screenplays. As an actor, with me knowing these things, it gives me it's like another acting class, things that they don't teach you in acting class. I was like, this is great. And so I'd apply some of those techniques to my delivery and things like that. And then when I got with Ted, when he started talking about intending dream scene, things to think about other than letting words come out. While the words are coming out of my mouth, the acting is over here with the things in my head. And so it creates dynamics like doing the opposites at the same time, what I want you to do. And then, or maybe I want to touch your heart while talking to you, you know. There's a million different things you can do. There's a million different techniques out here. And we just find what works. And so, like I said, I've been in class for over 20 years. So it's a lot of stuff comes in my head, you know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay. And I met, so now you teach acting also, right?
Yes, I for a bunch of years I would do a workshop, maybe twice a year, three times a year. I just invite people, and they come to this location, and I have them do their monologue, and I watch them, and I ask myself, okay, what's missing? And then I'd say, try this, try that, and have them. And the whole idea is for me to feel something. If I don't feel something coming from you, like a chill or a heart palpitation, then we'll keep working. And generally, I get something from everyone, and that's through Ted Sarantos' teachings with the opposites, intending, dream, seeing, statements, projection. And so I did that for years, and then I got hired at Second City. So here in Chicago,
Okay.
I was teaching acting on camera, and I did that for 2 years, and I'd get that from the students as well, have them have me feel something.
Uh-huh.
And then Second City closed for the pandemic back
Yeah.
in 2020, and I hadn't gone back. I think I'm still on the roster, but I was like, and I was making that money because over the pandemic, what I did was I decided to do 100 workshops, 2 hour online workshops, and it took me over a year, but I got them all in, and I'm done with that. That was fun.
That's it, right?
It was fun.
That's it. That's
once
it.
once a week or sometimes 2 times a week because I was like, let me get these numbers in. Let me get to 100. I'm kind of goal oriented. And,
Okay.
and so after that was done, so now I just do one-on-ones like this. Like I get you on Zoom and we sit there and you're in your frame and I'd say, okay, smile and talk to the microphone. Get these in your head. Let me see your monologue, and then okay, now try this, try that, and I'm all I'm working for is to feel something.
Okay. So have any of your students gone on to bigger and, you know, like you've seen them on the screen or on TV or anything like that?
Well, one of my guys, he got cast in Chicago Fire, and he thanked me for
Oh,
that. Yeah, yeah. And he says it was because of your piano method. Something that came to me one day. I'm sitting there trying to get people to make statements. Like instead of asking questions like Americans do, I'm trying to get him to instead of asking questions like Americans do. So I was like,
okay.
"You got a piano at home? Okay, sit by the piano now. Go down the keys, saying your dialogue." And it was that simple. And he said that helped him. And that was just one thing that came to me. Yeah, yeah. And other people have hadn't had any acting and has come along. And this has been for years. I worked with them a few times, and now they're out getting cast in independent films. One guy says he was I sent this Facebook post I saw to this guy. He's a karate master, right? A real life, and he's got his dojo and everything, and he's wanted to act, and so he started coming to the workshops. And I saw an ad on Facebook. They're looking for a old Asian to play and have one line in this independent film. And I sent that to him. He says, I'm not Asian. I says, but just apply. And he applied, and he got cast, and they wrote him a whole couple pages of dialogue.
Oh,
He had
wow.
just started, yeah, yeah. And so people fly. I say, I work with you. Okay, it's time to go. My work is done, but you can always come back.
Oh, wow. You know what? I've always wanted to be an actress.
Yeah,
Wait,
I understand. I understand.
wait, my husband over there laughing.
It can be as easy as you want it to be. It is definitely work behind the
But
scenes.
I think that that would help a lot in public speaking, because I do, public speaking, and the way you're speaking about, uh, you want the person to feel something, a chill or something in the heart,
Hmm.
and if you're doing public speaking, especially if you trying to get, you know, well, like they say, sell from the stage, or if trying to get clients, or whatever, or just put your message across, you know, if you're trying to motivate or inspire. Yeah.
I did, like I said, I did multi-level marketing in the '90s, and would I remember one time back I was living in DeKalb, around Northern, and I got involved in this multi-level marketing program called which one was that? Quorum Electronics. And so my Asian doctor, he got me into it, and so we used to meet at his condo and throw. I see so long ago. I forgot what you call these things. Events where you invite people and they come and look at the presentation. So I worked with him, and we practiced before we did the first one. So I'm over his apartment and his condo, and he did the first part about the business, and I got a chance to get up and talk about the money. So
Okay.
I got excited about that. And so when I was doing it, and this was really my first time, I was like, and yeah, $100, blah blah blah, and so he stopped me. He said, and he just gave me this one thing which was effective. He said, every time you want to say, just pause for a second, don't say anything, and when the next word comes to you, the next sentence, then speak. And so I did that at that presentation. We had about 20 people in the room. And when we finished, and after I finished my presentation, I was like, "Well, who wants to sign up?" And most of the people raised their hands. And I asked this girl, I says, "Why did you sign up?" She says, "Because you're powerful." This was before I was
Oh,
an actor, and so I don't think I'm a public speaker at all, but
okay.
I can inspire.
Okay.
Yeah, yeah. I could actually work on my public speaking, but I can inspire in the process. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. Well, we have a question that came in here from Renita Dixon. She says, can acting help people in corporate America where genuine emotions are discouraged?
And what comes to mind is that on a one-on-one setting, or is that in a group setting? Because Second City has a corporate America workshop where they work with people in companies to help them get along. I think they play games and they do this and get people comfortable and exciting. But yeah, acting can. I think acting can definitely help you, because I watched Ted over the 18 years work with other people. He's worked with ministers, teachers, and
Okay.
different people from different walks of life, not just actors. So that's why I said this is a philosophy psychology thing, because it just helps people to get comfortable in their own skin and dealing with people. And you can wear your emotions on your face, or not. And that's acting can help you. in corporate
Okay.
America because there's workshops for that around. Yeah.
Okay. Well, it seems like you've inspired someone. Liz Beauty Queen Marty says, I want to act.
Ain't nothing to it but to do it.
All
And,
right, Liz, you
and
heard that.
let me say this though, I've spent a lot of years. I used to work with people for free and give them that first acting lesson, and then I think I just threw too much on them because after that they was like, well, no, I thought I wanted to act because it was stuff. So what I would say is go ahead and take a class and check it out. Go sit in on a class. You don't have to take it. Say, I want to audit the class. I want to sit in and see what it is. Or go get cast in a community play. There are community plays. People are trying to put up plays in churches and halls all over town. Find out where you can find community play. They got Facebook groups with theater and acting and film acting groups. Join those and keep an eye out. And check it
Okay.
out.
All right, Liz, you heard that. And Renita, the one that asked the question about in corporate America, she says the face gets me in trouble.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. And so, in acting on camera too, what we work on is delivering the lines like this. The emotions are on the inside, but just deliver the lines like this. You don't have to talk to people, and to, like, you don't have to do any of that. Just keep it on the inside and shake it off. Keep the face like that.
People tell me, oh, it showed on your face. So that's something that you have to practice, and like the eyes, that I forgot what they call it now. I used to know the terminology. When split seconds, somebody's talking to you in a split second, your eyes tell what it is you're thinking or feeling. And so you work on that in acting also. I forgot what they call that.
No, I just let stuff just
A
happen.
micro expression or something.
I
Yeah.
let stuff happen organically, like true reaction. Even if I'm reading the script and I'm familiar with it, I don't know what I'm going to do at that split second. I
Oh,
know what the script says, and I know how I feel. So whatever happens, happens. Um, yeah, you said something about a split
the,
second.
yeah, the eyes, I forgot what they call it. It's a micro expression. I think that's what they call it and it's something that's involuntary. So in other words, I could be talking to you and you're saying something, and even though my face, is still and no expression, but my eyes in a split second, zoom, you know.
Okay, I've learned that involuntary is not necessarily a good thing. In a script, we like I said, I don't know exactly how I'm going to do what's going to happen, but I have a marker like this is going to happen right here on this line in this space, and then I say, okay, that's got to happen there. But then the involuntary stuff, I don't want to be, you know,
Yeah,
doing that's involuntary. Like
yeah,
that
yeah.
should everything should be planned.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. All
Even the
right.
movement, even the eye blinking. I blink. I blink when I want to blink. Sometimes someone has to remind me. Can you blink?
Really?
Can you blink in this scene?
Really?
Yeah, yeah. Because they say blinking is vulnerability, and keeping your eyes open is. I need to listen to that guy.
But how do you keep your eyes open without blinking?
I practiced. I watched Training Day back in 2001, and I was like, wait a minute, because I was learning that monologue. What now, huh? What you gonna do? You gonna shoot? You gonna bust your cherry? I was learning that monologue, and I was watching Denzel. I was like, he's not blinking. I'm sure when they said cut, he would blink, but
I'm
during
not.
the
You know
scene,
what? The
he
next
would
time
keep
we
his
watch,
eyes open.
Training Day, I'm gonna look at that.
Hmm, hmm.
Oh.
So we blink when we want to say something.
Well, I'm trying not to blink. Okay, now here's another question. Liz asked, is it true that in order to cry when acting, you have to think of something sad?
I learned that back at ETA back in '07. The late Okoro, he was like, if you have to be sad, go back into your head or think of something sad, like your dog dying in your arms, and sit there and feel that presence, or standing there at the casket. See yourself standing there at the casket, looking at your dead mother, you know,
Oh,
burned up in a fire,
oh,
open casket.
oh, okay.
Yes, so that's a technique. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay. What I want to do is show something here so people can see exactly what you do. Um, Here it is. So, uh, okay, here it
I'm here to deliver a message.
Something that they will remember forever. Something that will etch my name on those walls with blood. You know what's next. Are you looking at it? Are you looking? I'm game, I'm game. Look, I ain't gotta take this shit. We don't have to go. We ain't gotta go. Reggie, what the hell is wrong with you? Boy, you
Tariq, put that down.
look here. They'll be the victim of identity theft. Fact is, 1 in 20 Americans risk being a victim every year. Your entire life can be drastically affected by simple strips of paper. Most of us don't bother because we simply don't have the time. He does. Why not make it harder on the people trying to steal your identity and easier on yourself? At the Shred Authority, we take the hassle out of securing your identity so you can.
Wow. Okay, so stop sharing. Now let me go back here. And let me go here. Okay. Now how come I don't see you anymore? Okay, where are you? Oh, here you are. Wow. You know what now? That's really something. And you look different in each one of those scenes.
Let me say that that first one where I was playing the priest, we did that movie back in 2004. It's called Pieces of a Dream, and that demo reel was made in 2010. So there's a bunch of those are actually old films and clips. Yeah,
Okay.
but yeah, I do look. People, some people have said that you look different in this movie, and you look different in that one. I'm like, oh, I do. Thank you.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
really do. And so, and in one of those clips, you had a different accent.
Yes, I learned how to speak. You know, actually, I did a Raisin in the Sun down in Louisville, Kentucky, at the Actors Theater back in 2001 in the Black Box Theater. I played Joseph Asagai, and I had to work on that accent. I had no accent, and so I'm going in to play George Murchison. This guy saw me at this workshop and says, "We need a George Murchison from Chicago," and I'm from Chicago. And so I went to the rehearsal, thinking I'm gonna do. I watched the Raising the Sun because I'd never watched it before, and I said, "George Murchison, yeah, I can learn that real quick in 5 weeks." And so I get to the audition, and there's one guy that's playing Joseph Osagai, and he had this rich accent. He was dark skinned. He just wasn't as handsome. And so the director, who had worked with him before, he looked at me and says, "Do you have a African accent?" And I was like, "Yeah." No, but I said, "Yeah." And he says,
Boy,
"Okay, read this." So what happened was I was listening to this guy with this beautiful accent, listening, and so he gave me this book, and I'm cold reading Asagai's full page of lines, and so I put the book in my face, and I was like, "O Pegede, O Gamushe, you wear it well, beautiful hair and all." And I finished the whole page, and he said, "Okay, you got the role." I was like,
oh,
"Nah, I got to learn all of this." But I did it. I worked and worked. And so then I had it back in 2001. So I did that Nigerian film, Audia, with this guy, Francis Umpolo, who's from Nigeria. And we did it. And it was about me marrying a 14-year-old girl and bringing her home, paying her father money, short film. And so he took it and showed it to his uncle in Nigeria. And his uncle says, "Francis, I know this man. What part of the country is he from?" He says, "Uncle, he's not Nigerian, he's American." I was like, that was the greatest compliment I could have got.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Wow. So
But
have you done other accents? Oh,
I did this one feature film where it was independent film, and I had a British accent, and so there was a girl that was in my class at Sarantos from somewhere over there in London, and I asked her to help me over the phone back in 2009. She worked with me on the phone, and I gave her my lines, and we worked my lines, and so I did the film and did it, and it looked convincing to me. I don't know, and because there's the Cockney and there's the upper crust and blah blah blah, everything in between. So I tried to find something and land on that,
oh, okay.
and
Now, oh, go ahead. Finish.
so there's this film this guy gave me a script for, where I'm supposed to play a Jamaican West Indies guy, and that one I don't have. So I ordered the cassettes on. I ordered some stuff online and got with this guy and sent him my lines, and he sent them back. A white guy, and he did his best impression, and we still haven't shot the film. So I got time to work on my Jamaican bomba clot. I got time. So
So, got a question. All right, Gwendolyn Dunbar, which is easier to do, comedy or drama?
drama, drama.
Well, you like drama. Yeah,
I like
yeah.
drama. Now, so while I was teaching over there at Second City, I could take classes over there for free because I'm an instructor. So for those 2 years, I took improv for actors two, stand up one, and I was like, after stand up one, I was like, I'm done with that. I'm not taking stand up two. But 10 months later, I took stand up two. I took intro to screenwriting lab, body movement, storytelling. Just different classes that interest me, production. So I'm always a student. But
Wow.
comedy is so that's why I took improv for actors so I can work on my funny. Then I took improv for actors too so I could work on my funny. Then jumped out on the ledge to take stand up, and I had to go do open mics I'm over here on the south side of Francis on 75th. You know, they ain't laughing at nothing up in there. And I'm like, and I'm first week of class, he says, you got to do stand open mics. I'm like, what? So I had to fear. I'm scared. I'm up in there and I'm like, why'd the chicken cross the road? Because he wanted to, you know, it's goofy. I was like, I'm glad, but you know, I got better and better. But after stand up one, I was like, I'm done. But then I ran out of classes. I was like, you know what? I was talking to a guy in the stand up one class. I said, I'm going to take stand up two because he was having successes. I'm going to take it. Then the young lady says, you know what? You don't have to do open mics. I was like, cool. I can just work on my funny in class. And so, quick story. So I took my brother. I had him and his wife come to support me at those open mics because you know I don't want to go up in there by myself. And so he came to a couple of them, and he said, "Harold, you stunk the place up." And I was like, "I had a couple people laughing." Yeah, he's like, "No, you stunk the place up." And so 10 months later, I took the stand up two class and I finished it, and we had the student showcase over at Second City in one of the small theaters, and I invited him and his wife because I'd gotten better, and I says. I'm doing my stand-up two showcase. I want you to come and support. And so I'm driving down, and we're going down Lakeshore Drive headed north, and I'm acting now. I'm like, man, all of this traffic, I gotta go do this stand-up. And he says, man, you seem like you're panicking. Here, and he's the funny one. He says, here, run the routine by me and let me help you out. I was like, no, just wait till we get there because I already knew it was funny. So we get there, and I says, you just got this new iPhone. I want you to record my stand-up. I'm supposed to come out 5th. Just record me. Okay? He says, okay. And so he recorded me, and he's my laugh track in the background because he didn't know that I had really worked on that. It was funny. And so he recorded and I uploaded it on YouTube. It's called Harold Dennis Comedy or Harold Dennis Stand-Up. It's just a 5-minute piece. And the best part of that was surprising him.
Okay.
But yeah, comedy is tougher.
Let me put this in here. Okay, Harold.
It's profanity in there too because I'm talking.
Well, they all grown.
Yeah, what happened was I had.
Harold
I'm not
Dennis
even going to tell you, but
right?
it's kind of a true story too. Yeah, because I was in my 6th week of class out of 8 weeks, and I'm going to class and something happened, and I'm like, I waited to last to go because I wasn't ready. I still had my material in my hand, and I was just so uncomfortable. And so what happened was,
Okay.
I finally just threw the book down, and I'm standing there in front of everybody and says, "Let me tell you what happened on the way here." And they says, "That's what you should do your showcase about." That was probably week 5, so I spent 3 weeks working on it. Harold Dennis Comedy.
Oh, all right. All right. Wow. 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 So what are you working on now?
The most recent thing that happened is on WeTV. That's like what TNT, AMC, and all of those channels. WeTV. I'm in a series that my buddy Kenny 25 years ago said take that acting class. They moved out to LA 20 some years ago, and they got greenlit to which Kenny wrote. He wrote a series called Cold and Windy. That's cold with a K. Cold and Windy. As a matter of fact, it airs 9 p.m. Central on Thursdays, and this is week 4. I was week 4 of 8 episodes. I was in episode 3, but you can see it on demand. And he's called a lot of buddies from the acting troupe from back in the day and other people. And he's got this dope series. It's about 2 young girls that are rappers, drill music, hardcore, and it's how it's affecting their lives and the streets. And it's real urban. I was like, and Kenny usually does comedy. I was like, this is a drama? He said, yeah, this is a drama. I'm like, okay. So I went down to Atlanta last April.
Okay, wait a minute. Cold, K-O-L-D or K-O-D-E?
Kold.
Oh, okay.
Like the Windy City, cold and windy.
Oh, I got you.
Like
Okay.
Chicago, cold and windy.
Okay. Okay.
And so I shot my scenes, and they told me they get picked up for a season 2. I'll have a reoccurring character, so I'm excited about it. It seems to me that the show is hot, and they have a lot of viewers.
Oh.
And so that's just happened, and
Great.
I mentioned earlier I have 16 films that are on Tubi TV that you can watch for free. Pieces of a Dream is on there where I played the priest. Paradigm Gray, For Hannah, bunch of Mollywood is on there. Bunch of films. before I do. Yeah,
So
and
if they go to YouTube and put your name in there, will all of this come up
some stuff will
or
pop
what?
up. But
I mean,
if you go, I think if you go to imdb.com and type my name in, there's a whole list of movies, and you can try to say, let's see if this movie's over. I have a couple things on Amazon Prime. One of them is this film I did. It's a short. It's like a series called Pear Shaped. One of my noobs, he did 3 short films and called it a series. They have nothing to do with each one, but I'm in episode 3. Whereas we shot it in center space. It's just me sitting in a car with my old army jacket on, dealing with PTSD with the cops behind. Blue lights. It's called WBLS, Whirling Blue Lights and Sirens. Dope film. I showed it to my second city students the first week of class so that they can see who's working with them. And they're like, yes, sir, Mr. Dennis. What's next after they see that? It's called Pear Shaped WBLS episode 3 on Prime.
and it's on Amazon Prime.
Yeah. I have a bunch of projects out there. You just have to go to the imdb.com and just search.
And okay, that's I am. Let me put it down here so they will know. It's imdb.com.
DB. D is in
Oh,
David, B is in boy. Yeah. A lot of
okay.
people.
Well, okay.
Yeah, do that.
Okay. Let me delete that and put it right. IMB as in dog. B.
Yes.
.com. All right, folks, and you see that you can go in there and see all about Harold Dennis. Okay, so question came in from my text. What are your aspirations for the future? Aspirations for the future.
Get paid millions of dollars for projects and win awards.
Yeah, well, we talked about this before you came on, and I said, we're going to
Put
see
a
you
number
on
on it.
yeah, right. We're going to see you on the red carpet because you will have been nominated for not supporting role, but for
Lead.
leading role in a drama. And I said, yeah, put a date on it, a time, everything on it, and claim it. And then I want to be invited because I've never attended one.
That's right. So I have screenings here in Chicago. Films, once they finish them, they screen them here, and at different film festivals. I'm on the community council. Oh, is there a question?
No, she said, Gwendolyn Dunbar says, my son knows Kenny and was also on Cold and Windy first episode.
Oh, who was he in it? Because I definitely watched every episode. Because
his name is Ronnie Ray.
What did he do in it? Because
I don't know. You got to put that in again.
I'll rewatch it. Yeah. So
wow.
What I was saying is, Cold and Windy is cold. I'm telling you, people are watching. My cousin was on the East Coast, and she says I was sipping a drink and relaxing, and I'm watching this new series called Cold and Windy. And who do I see? My cousin Harold Dennis. I'm like, people are watching. I don't have to tell them. People are watching. Yeah.
Wow, that's just wonderful. So now you also have. You told me you have a podcast.
Oh yeah.
So tell us about the podcast.
Well, it's the
I'm waiting for you to say what Ronnie Ray did in the first episode. Okay.
Yeah, Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers podcast. And my buddy Brad, he was in the acting troupe with us back in 1998, and we've been friends that long. And so just a short few years ago, he says, let's do a podcast. And what we're going to do is interview our friends that have gone on to do things. And so we've interviewed people. He sets it up, and we both come on, and those are on YouTube. Harold and Brad, Windy City Filmmakers podcast. And we've interviewed Kenny Young, Carl Seaton, our buddies, because Carl's directing Chicago PD, Snowfall, and all of these things came from the acting troupe. So we interviewed him, and a bunch of other people. We've interviewed Bob Title. Alex PCO's the guy that just sold Center Space. You know, he owned that for years, and just different people. Harry Lennox, you know, he was in Five Heartbeats and Man of Steel and those types of things. He's from Chicago. Our buddies that were in acting troupe that are out doing theater, graduated from Harvard, all over the country. You know, things like that. It's a fun podcast. We laugh and talk with them for about 15 minutes. We'll do 30 minutes and then cut it up into two 15-minute episodes because of attention span type of thing.
Okay. Okay. Gwen said Ronnie Wade, he was the one who came in the store asking to buy a gun.
Yes, the big guy. That's cool. That's cool. Yeah. Then he came back in the club later and got it.
Okay. Yeah. And she says he made 2 appearances that night. He
Yes.
also was in Red Drum that Kenny did.
Red Rum. Okay. Yeah, I saw
Red
Red Rum too. They
Red
came back
Rum,
and
okay.
screened that here in Chicago. Red Rum. Yeah, back
Oh,
years ago. Yeah.
okay. And we got another actor in the house. His name is Dr. Lauren Michaels Harris. Hello, everyone. And I've forgotten the name of the film he was in, but I think it was also an independent film. Yeah, I do know. I do know. Now, okay, another question from my text. What advice would you give to folks who want to get into some area of films?
Well, you know, the easiest thing to do is to pinpoint what it is that you'd like to do. If it's hair, makeup, or crew, lighting, acting, directing, producing, go on Google and read up on this stuff. Knowledge is power, and from there you can find where you can take classes. You know, they have this place called Chicago Filmmakers, where it's not a college, but they teach different aspects of the behind the scenes in the business, editing, writing, you know, screenwriting class. If you want to write something, take a class, read a book, take a class, just do the research. And from there, you'll know if it's for you or not, and to find out what is for you and research it and then study.
Okay. And I'm reading something here, and it said you were Black Excellence Award nominee for Outstanding Achievement in Film as an actor from the African American Arts Alliance of Chicago. That was in 2014.
Yeah, I remember that. And so what happened was I put on my tuxedo. I'm like, I'm nominated. You know, we went over to the DeSable Museum and I'm feeling fresh, you know. And so they had some nominees. And the young 23-year-old guy that wrote the film, he was the lead actor. And he wrote it and directed it. He won Best Actor and Best Director, Best Film. It was a film called Growing Pains of Chicago, Inglewood, Growing Pains of Chicago. And I
Okay.
was happy he won it because this is the role I had in the movie. I'm at the beginning of the movie, the janitor at the park district, he comes running by and I say, pull off that hat in my building. I got a hat on, you know.
Mhm.
Stop running, pull off the hat in my building. And so he goes on by. And then at the end of the movie, this will go back to that scene and I'm talking to him and the other guy in the basketball in the gym. And as something happens at the end, I do something like that and run back in the building. Inglewood, Growing Pains of Chicago. And I got nominated for that. I was like, who do I know on that council?
Right.
Yeah. But I was happy to have that night and the pictures and things like that. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, you know, I'm getting ready to brag because I was a nominee, but mine was for best nonfiction book, and called "The Secrets to How Not to Throw Mama from the Train." And it was the same. Like, who nominated me for this? I didn't win,
Yeah.
but like you say, it's wonderful to be nominated.
It is. I
Yeah.
did win Best Supporting Actor in a Comedy, a short film, in this small independent film festival years ago. And a lot of films that I've been in have been nominated and won a lot of film festivals.
All right. And you know what that means? Like I said,
Yes.
you're going to be walking that red carpet.
Yes. And like I was saying, there's plenty of screenings and something's going to come up sometime this year. And I'm in the film and they'll have it at some theater and they may have a red carpet rolled out and I'll take
I'm
photos.
not talking about that red carpet. You know what red carpet I'm
I
talking
know,
about.
I know that big one, the cover
Yeah, that's the
that
one.
spans 2 blocks.
That's the one.
Yeah,
That's the
that's the
one.
one. Yeah, yeah.
That's the one. Harold, this has been anything you want to add to my folks, my audience. They are. It's so many comments on here. It's like I can't put them all in here, but uh, so let's your last parting words for us who think that we can be in movies and TV and all of that. What are your parting words for us?
Well, I'll say this real quick. I have my hands in a few projects right now, projects to be completed. I just finished two last weekend, two different ones, come in and do something in them. And I have projects that I'm shooting on. Famous Canadian actors. I'm one of the main characters in that series. And shooting with my buddy Darren Orange on a drinking movie. It's non alcoholic, but it's crazy. A lot of things. And I have things coming up that I have scripts for. And so my parting advice is find out what it is that you want to do and research it and do it, but with both hands and both feet. Jump in. Don't look back.
Don't look back.
Yeah.
Let me say this to you right before we go. You remind me of Denzel.
Thank you. Thank you. And I've been doing that training day monologue for years. It's like I told you, I've learned it. Then I worked on it with Ted Sarantos back in 2004. And after 3 months of doing that training day monologue, he says, "Okay, Harold, we can stop," because I was working on it. He says, "Okay, you're ready to show. You're ready for the recorded or whatever." And so right after I finished, and I'm gonna try to go fast. Right after I finished, I got a cattle call audition for some Robert Townsend thing back in 2004. May. And I went
Okay.
hundreds of people out there. And to make a long story short, I didn't get cast, but a buddy saw me in that film and cast me in the film Pieces of a Dream. That's on Tubi also. That was from that training day monologue to be blowing the whole room away.
All right. So Dr. Sabrina L. Davis says Harold is amazing.
Hey,
And you know her. Okay.
yes, yes.
And Dr. Patricia Rogers says, congratulations, Harold. Yes, I am running for my life because we won't get a second chance. All righty. Harold, thank you. So I have to have you back.
I'm
I,
happy to come back.
I have to have you back. Thank you so much for being on the show. It has been a delight. And I am going to definitely watch your shows. And you know what? You might see me. I'm on your one-on-one
Yeah.
because I want to be a movie star.
And check out Paradigm Gray on Tubi too. I'm very happy with that. Yeah.
Oh wow, you all over. Oh my God, you all over Tubi. Okay, I will. I will. So thank you so much. You have a beautiful, blessed. Oh, wait a minute. One more thing came in. They want to know if you're single. Sorry, y'all. I'm not going to say who asked that question. Sorry. All right, Harold. You have a beautiful, blessed rest of your evening.
Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. Wow, this has really been great. I didn't even go to commercial. My sponsor's going to say, oh, you owe me. But Harold has been great. This has been wonderful. And I really want you all to look him up. So you can say to yourself, I remember him. When you see him walking that red carpet, I keep saying that. You're going to say, I remember him. Yes. And he's really good. So relationships matter. And Relationship Matters TV show is all about all kinds of relationships. And I am just so blessed and just happy that I have formed a new relationship. So Next week will be Encores for 2 weeks because I'm doing something special. But I shall be back. So, you know what I think I'm going to do? On that second week that I'm out, I think I'm going to run this show again. So, for all of you who didn't get a chance to see it or want to see it again and want to be refreshed on how you can see Harold, tune in 2 weeks from next Thursday. In the meantime, have a beautiful, blessed rest of your morning, afternoon, or evening.